Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
Welcome. You're tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get happy with Dr. Marissa. Now in my 391st consecutive week on the air. And this is a show about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, no K-words, no Kardashian talk at all. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. And I'm broadcasting live out of the UBN Go studios in Burbank. We moved Burbank, California, and then syndicated on iHeartRadio anytime and Monday nights at 8. Although there might be a shift in time slot on my syndicated CNBC, NBC News Radio channel, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, you name it. I'm there because I want to splatter you with more hope and happiness. So if you missed any of my past shows with Layla Ali or Corey Feldman or Marianne from Gilligan's Island or Happy Days, Potsy, and Mrs. C, just go to my YouTube. Free subscribe still for a limited time. So go and take advantage of those amazing interviews with amazing people. And if you stay tuned to the end of the show, I'll be giving my Peace In, Peace Out broadcast. I covered the Catalina Jazz Festival, and I will be giving you news of what's up next for me, including singing with Snoop Dogg and Akon and traveling to China and the Philippines. So stay tuned at the end, where I also give my Asian Oprah giveaways. And today up on the docket are tickets to Frankie Avalon and Chubby Checker at the Cerritos Performing Arts Center. So stay tuned to the end, but stay tuned now because for the second time, and not many people make it on to my show again for the second time. So you'll know how special he is. And as you listen to him, you'll know why. He's one of my favorite people on the planet, even though we don't see each other all the time. But I did meet him, gosh, how many years ago? 5 years ago, I think, at CEO Space International in Florida. And then him and the three media cateers, Cheryl Snap Connor, peace in, peace out to you. She just posted a loving post on this announcement. We met and have been buddies since, and I love them both very much. So let me tell you about Steve. He is listed on Inc.'s top 50 leadership and management experts in the world, #1 on Huffington Post, 12 business speakers to see. He's a best-selling author, popular keynote speaker, and a seasoned leadership coach and consultant who's worked with a vast array of public and private organizations in virtually every arena. His third book, Greater Than Yourself, debuted as a Wall Street Journal and USA Today bestseller. I aspired to his lists. His second book, The Radical Edge, was hailed as a playbook for harnessing the power of the human spirit. And his first book, The Radical Leap, a personal lesson in extreme leadership, was named one of the top 100 best business books of all time. And his much-anticipated new book, which is why he's here. I get a text saying, can I come on the show for the new book? And of course I have to say yes. Love is Just Damn Good Business, published by McGraw-Hill. It's available now, and it is not about office romance, but you'll have to stay tuned to hear what it is about. He's an Inc. magazine writer, and his column Extreme Leadership Chronicles runs frequently, along with the article that he wrote interviewing me about perfectionism. Please welcome to my studio again, Steve Farber. How was that?
always great to be greeted by thunderous applause from your live studio audience.
Isn't it awesome? Yeah, they're all
Yeah.
over here. You just can't see them. They sound a lot familiar to the first time you were here. They're repeat performers.
That's great. Well, if it's a great show, why not come back every day?
Oh, thank you. And you're now, wow. This is book number 4.
Number 4, yes.
Yes, and you actually do a whole lot more than write. And what I've learned from writing my first solo book last year is it's a full-time job, but it's not full-time. But when the inspiration hits, you better take advantage of it, because there's plenty of times when you make the time to sit and write, it just does not come. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's true. It's a full-time job writing it, and then it's a full-time job launching it, and then it's a full-time job teaching it. So it's a good thing, because as it turns out, this is my full-time job.
Yeah. Well, it kind of is and it kind of isn't, because I did want to highlight you do a lot of different things. The last time I was in San Diego, 2 times ago, I was on your platform speaking at your leadership conference, right? With the Extreme Leadership Conference.
The
So you're
Extreme
still
Leadership
doing that,
Experience, exactly.
right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And then you also do some work with Stedman with his group. Yes?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you're also a member of another founding member of something. I didn't read it because it was just too much to read. But so before we jump into the book, can you tell me why, what makes your heart sing? Like, what about your work, and did it was an evolving thing? Because there's a lot of people out there right now saying, you know, I'm not happy doing what I'm doing, but I don't know what else to do. You obviously love what you do, and is that something that evolved, or, you know, practice makes perfect, or, you know, just you're the coach?
Yeah, it's a little bit all of the above. So it did evolve, and it's something that I pursued with great intention, you know, starting 30 years ago now, believe it or not. So in terms of what this work means for me, you know, I've been in the field of leadership development now for you know, like I said, 3 decades, which means that I coach leaders, I do consulting work, I write books, I give speeches, you know, all around helping people to be more effective in their leadership roles, regardless of their position or title.
Mm-hmm.
And it is work that I love, but it was not always thus.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I started out doing work that and this is the right word, hated. Hated with a steaming passion. Because you know, back when I was a young man, and I discovered I was an entrepreneur, I was in the commodities futures business.
I didn't know that.
Because I had a friend who was in that industry, and I needed a job, and he said, "Come on, I'll show you the ropes." And I discovered I was an entrepreneur because within a few short years, I had my own small shop, my own brokerage firm. So, you know, from the outside looking in, it looked like the American dream. You know, I got my own company, I'm my own boss, and parts of it were great. But the problem was, like I said, I hated that business because the nature of the beast is that's a very speculative market, which meant that my clients would lose money over and over again. It's like going to Vegas. And I had a moral dilemma with my own business, which is a very odd and unhealthy place to be. So I got out. And that was in 1987, 1988.
Yeah.
And I started to pursue this path because I had a business background, but I also had a talent for working with people and communicating and all that. And I started doing consulting work and training and development back in the late 80s. And then that began a path that over the years focused more and more on leadership. And I had amazing mentors throughout my
Tom
professional life.
Peters.
Tom Peters, of course, and Jim Kouzis, and just really, you know, some of the greatest thought leaders of our day in the business arena. And that's where I cut my teeth and where I absolutely fell in love with with this work. And what makes my heart sing, to answer the first part of your question, is, I've been doing this for long enough now that I see the impact that these ideas and practices have on people's lives, on their businesses in particular and their lives in general. And that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. When I get emails from people and hear the stories about how they've taken these ideas from not only from the new book, but from all the stuff that I've been writing for the last 15 years and achieve phenomenal results in their businesses while engaging their hearts in their work more and more. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning with my heart singing away.
Yes, it is. And one of the things that I love about your message is you've really crossed the line. You've crossed that whole BS belief system that many of us grow up with at work, which is professional at work, keep your personal life at home. So something like love, right, is kept at home. We want respect at work. We want you to, work well together, play well together, make great productive decisions together, do what I say, don't question the authority, respect my position, and then we'll all, you'll have a job and you'll make money and I'll have a huge, financial, because I'm taking more risks as the leader in the organization and it's my brain power. So, if you don't like it, find the door. And this is the way the well-oiled business machine works, which is bullshit. Right?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It doesn't work.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear touching a cold. But, so here's the thing, Marissa. This what you just described is a stereotype of business, right? And there's a collective delusion that we seem to subscribe to that says business is impersonal. Business is about command and control. Business is about getting, wringing the results out of people. And yet we all know that the most effective businesses, the ones who are the most successful, who have the best, the greatest market share, who have the lowest turnover, who have the highest productivity, are places that people love working in. So we know that to be true, and yet we agree to characterize business as cold and heartless. So one of the things that I discovered, of course, and when I say discover, I don't mean that nobody knew it and then I discovered it. I'm one of many people who's discovered this over and over again, is that if you can create an experience, which is a combination of your product and service as a business, if you can create an experience, product, service that your customers love, that's where your competitive advantage comes from. And I defy anybody to disagree with that statement. Any business person worth his or her salt knows this to be true, because anything short of that doesn't produce what we look for as business people, which of course are things like brand loyalty, repeat business, word of mouth, all of that. If I'm just satisfied with what you do for me, I'll go somewhere else. It's a little bit cheaper. I'll go there. They can satisfy me too. But if I love what you do for me as your customer, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to talk about you. And I'm going to spend more money. Right? So we know that. But we have to take it we have to back it up at least 2 steps. Back it up 1 step. What that means is, in order to create that for customers, we have to create an environment or a culture, as we often refer to it, that people love working in. If I hate working for you, if you're the boss that you just described that says, hey, I pay you, so do what I tell you to do, and if you don't like it, hit the road. Well, how then am I going to turn around and create an experience that my customer is going to love? Very difficult.
Right? Bipolar.
So instead,
split personality.
Let's create the environment that people love working in. And to back it up 1 more step, I can't create or contribute to that kind of environment or culture unless I love it myself first. I love it the business. I love the people that work for me. I love the customers that we serve, myself first. That's where the juice comes from. And that, if I could be so presumptuous as to paraphrase myself, is just damn good
Business, which is the title of the book. And if you're just tuning in and you're wondering who is preaching to my choir, it is Steve Farber, the author of his newest book called Love is Just Damn Good Business. And he's zooming in from San Diego this morning as we're live here out of UBN Go in Burbank, California. And this is Dr. Marissa, and you're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get happy with Dr. Marissa. So I'm going to put the moose on the table, Steve, and the moose on the table, which is my Canadian version of talking about the elephant in the room. And I am actually going to challenge you because there are at least two companies that I know of right now, and because I'm an organizational psychologist, I get to actually cross-section your work, and I know that turnover there is really high, and but they're very successful, and they even have. I'm not naming names, but they have reputations for being happy. They're a happy place. And then the other one is, a real big player in the sports arena, in the movies. And I know people who will say, I would rather not work at all than have to go back and work there. So, and this is not just one or two people who have, their own revolving doors going on. This is truly, it's a similar kind of reputation to other big consulting companies who are no longer around, which may be part of the reason, where people are treated very poorly. They are, you were saying, wringing performance out of them. So I hate my job, but I'm afraid of getting fired. So I'm going to kowtow to what I'm supposed to and kiss butt and, just do as I'm told. But it's just like a really negative place to be. But they're doing well. Their stock's high. They've got this customer reputation. People go there all the time. So what happened? Like, is that an aberration?
So what you're saying is,
yes.
if I'm hearing you right, that it is possible for a company to make tons of money.
Yes.
And have an environment that people hate working in.
Correct.
Of course.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We've been doing it that way for generations.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So the simple answer or the simple response to that is, this is not the only way to be profitable. And I would suggest that companies that get there are getting there in spite of the culture they've created, not because of it. And so what happens is we can confuse, as we often do as human beings, correlation with causation. In other words, it's easy to look at that and stand back and say, well, the reason that we're doing so well is because we created an environment that grinds people into the dust and until they can't stand it anymore and they come back. No, that's not why. It's in spite of that. So the question is, how much better could they be doing if they created an environment that kept their best talent, and not only kept their best talent, but turned their best talent into their best recruiters so they can bring on even more great talent. That's what we see over and over again, right? Mm-hmm. So what I'm suggesting is that, there are all kinds of ways to make money. There are all kinds of ways to be profitable. But if you're trying to create a leadership organization and a leadership culture, which is, from the experience that I've had, is something that we should be aspiring to, because it brings a lot of incredible benefits along with it, including the influence that we have in the community, the impact that we have on the world, all these things that we're all becoming more consciously aware of as being important for businesses, then the way to approach that is like what we've been talking about here, is to not push love aside as a soft, and we could say this because we're in California touchy-feely hoo-ha crap stuff, right?
Woo-woo.
And embrace it for what it really is, which is a way to create higher standards, higher expectations. See, I think part of the challenge here is the stereotype is that love just means that everybody can do whatever they want.
Right. That was my next question.
So it's okay.
Right. Love is kind. Like you're always kind. And so you want to come in at 2:00 in the afternoon and leave at 3? No problem. I love you. Do what you want. I support you in anything. You need to go pick up your kid 4 times today? Go ahead. Love is most important. So that's right.
Yeah. So I can love you and fire you.
Okay, let's talk about that.
So the thing is, it's not easy. So this idea that love is somehow soft couldn't be further from the truth. It's about as hard as it gets.
Okay.
Because it happens on a lot of different levels. Now, first of all, let's just acknowledge we use the word love in lots of different ways.
Yes.
Right.
I love you.
I love pizza. I love my wife. I love them differently.
I should hope so.
One I shouldn't love, one I should. Right? So we use the word in all kinds of ways.
Is she home? I want her to come over on that one. I was going to ask you if she wanted to come pop in.
She's right. She's right there.
Hey, Veronica, how are you? Hi, sweetie.
we share an office at home.
Oh, okay.
As you can imagine.
Yes.
So anyway, my point is that we use the word in a lot of different ways, but at the same time, we all instinctively know it when we see it, right? So I can love, as a leader in a business or as an entrepreneur, for example, I have a love for my company, right?
Yeah.
I have also a fiduciary responsibility to that company and to my stakeholders in that company. And I have these employees that I love. And I love them because they do great work. I love them because my business depends on them. And I love them for what they bring as human beings into the business. So I want to create an environment that's going to make them as effective as possible. And yet there are going to be times where my love for an individual employee, for example, smacks up against my love for the business. And it becomes clear that this person is not right for this business. So I have to make a choice. And that's tough. That's difficult. But the choice is about how do we make this place as great as it can possibly be, which means having the right people in that place. And sometimes
so fit is still important. Right people in the right job.
And I can fire you and be kind. I can, in fact, I know companies that, where people have left or quit or been fired and sent off with great support, help in finding a new job with coaching on career. I mean, there's lots of ways to do this. So that's the tough side of it. But again, I want to look at it, the business case for this starts with the customer. The objective is we want to be firing on all cylinders. We want our customers to love us. We want this to be a great place because that's how we're going to get the best talent. And I've got to be personally connected to it myself as a leader if I am, the positional leader of the company, because otherwise I'm just faking it.
Right.
And people have a pretty good BS meter. They know when I'm faking it. So this is about authenticity. It's not about putting on a happy face and pretending that everything's great even when they're not. It's about, digging into that core motivation that gets us to want to step up to make things better. That's love for the cause, the values, the principles that we stand for. That's a big part of this as well.
Well, I think when you talk about love as, it's almost love as not the touchy-feely love. It is love in action, love being that I really do value you. And that is not something that is the norm in most big companies. If you go to work and you sit in a cubicle, you really don't feel, maybe you do the first week they show you around, but then after that you're all about what you produce and your value. The lack of appreciation until you do something wrong, you never know that you are of value. And I think I remember when you were speaking, the time that I spoke on your stage, the moment where the clarification between love, respect, knowing the value, the light went on for me, that it was like, oh, if every person understood that they really were of value, that not another person could be doing this job the way that I'm doing and bringing value to this position, that is love that promotes loving yourself.
Yes, and I'll give you a very specific example of this. So that particular event, do you remember meeting Brian Stevens?
I'm horrible with names.
Brian was the when I met Brian, he was the president.
Oh yes. Your example. Yes.
Yeah. So Brian was he was featured on Undercover Boss, and very very influential leader at Marco's Pizza and beyond. He's retired from there since. But here's an example of a guy who, from early on in his career, he just turned 60. In the early days when he was in his 20s and just started managing people, he was coming from a place of love and appreciation, and he directly saw the correlation between that and results. So I'll tell you the story. He was a young manager. He went to work for Ponderosa Steakhouse.
Oh, that's a Canadian.
And he pushed to get this management job. And he was such a pain in the butt about it, cocky young guy.
Yeah.
They finally said, okay, you can have a store. You can be a store manager. And it was Ponderosa Store 319 in Gary, Indiana. And they gave it to him because it was the worst store in the chain.
Okay.
They said, okay, smart guy. Let's see what you can do.
Yeah.
So he goes to work there, and here's what he sees. He looks around the team and the company, or the employees, and he saw that people were showing up late for work. People were wearing dirty uniforms. People weren't filling out their paperwork the way they were supposed to. He looked at all this, and then he brought the team together. And he said, okay, I'm the new guy in town. I'm the new boss. They tell us that we're the worst in the chain. So what's different here? I mean, every Ponderosa Steakhouse has the same menu, has the same decor, has the same everything. So when they're telling us that this store is the worst in the chain, they're saying that you guys, that this team is the worst, that these are the worst people. He said, I don't believe that's true. And I believe that we can go from worst to first in 2 years. That's what he told me. All right? Now, good motivational speech. I believe in you. Nice.
Right.
The right words.
Yeah.
But then he took it significantly further, because he asked this question: why are people late? Why are people late? Now, the typical response that we were talking about before, that do what I tell you or you're out of here.
Yeah.
The typical response would be show up for work on time or you're fired.
Right.
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 But he asked the question, why are people late? And here's what he found: they're in a very economically challenged area, and most of his employees could not afford cars. So they took public transportation to work, or they walked. And at least at that time in Gary, Indiana, public transportation was not particularly reliable.
Right.
So, what do you think his solution was?
He organized busing or some kind of transportation for them to come.
Close.
Okay.
He got in his car and he picked them up himself.
Wow.
So what does that say? That says, I love you, I care about you, I believe in you, and I'm going to show that by taking my time to pick you up. And can you imagine the kind of relationships that got built in that car?
I'm going to cry.
From home to
That's
work?
so touching. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So then he did the same thing with the dirty uniform. He said, well, how come people are walking around with dirty uniforms?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't own.
He didn't wash them for him, did he?
Exactly.
He washed it for him?
Yeah. They didn't have washers and dryers.
Wow.
He did. So
Here I
he
am
washed
trying to
their
be
clothes.
funny.
He washed their clothes. He picked them up from work. Why weren't people doing their paperwork? Because a lot of them couldn't read or write or had trouble reading and writing.
Wow.
So he set up what he called a safe zone in the break area where some of the managers would tutor people in their schoolwork.
Wow.
He started going to their weddings. He started going to their funerals. He started, their family funerals. He just got to know them. And every one of those gestures says,
I love you.
which is very different from saying I love you.
Mm-hmm.
It's proving it through your actions.
Beautiful.
And guess what?
Worst to first in 2 years.
In 1 year,
In 1
not
year.
2.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great story. That's amazing.
There are thousands of ways to show this, Marissa. I mean, this is about the phrase that I use sounds a little paradoxical or a little odd, is operationalizing love. It's putting it into practice. It's
measuring.
What should love look like in the way that we do business? That's what
That's love at work.
drives a business forward.
Yeah.
Not just saying the words.
Right. Wow. That's great proof in the pudding for that. And I'm getting the signal that we need to thank our show sponsors. But we'll be right back in 2 and 2 with Steve Farber. And I'm Dr. Marissa on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get happy with Dr. Marissa. We'll be back in 2 and 2. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Want to listen to Ringo Starr, Oingo Boingo, Carol Burnett, Styx, REO Speedwagon, Michael Bolton, Burt Bacharach, or Engelbert Humperdinck? Well, you'll want to check out the beautiful Saban Theater in Beverly Hills, California. For tickets to the classic, the exciting, the memorable, and the ageless, go to www.wheremusicmeetsthesoul.com and stay tuned for Asian Oprah giveaway tickets right here on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get happy with Dr. Marissa. The Cerritos Center for the Performing Arts is a place to be entertained and inspired by human nature showing off. If you want to laugh with Louis Anderson and Rita Rudner, soar with the voices of the 4 Italian tenors, strum with Benice the Prince of Spanish guitar, or groove with Frankie Avalon and Chubby Checker, then go to www.cerritoscenter.com for tickets to these amazing artists and more for the 2019-20 season. That's www.cerritoscenter.com. And welcome back, and you'll have to stay tuned to the end to get those tickets. But we're back now with Steve Farber. He's my two-timing guest. He's been on this show twice now. He was here for my July 14th show a couple of years ago, I believe. Has it been that long? A couple years or 3 years? And a wonderful, wonderful guy inside and out. And he's preaching to the choir. I'm sure all my listeners are all about love. However, your friends may not be, so you may want to pass this show on and share it with them, because love is just damn good business. And since it's the title of the show, thank you. You can use me as a voiceover for your next commercial for the book. Damn good business. And I'm saying it more because normally I'm not allowed to use that word on my CNBC channel, but it's the title of a book. No, not love. Ha ha. Good. So where can people get this damn good book?
So first of all, let me just say, if I've been preaching to the choir here today, then my hope is I could just get you to sing a little bit louder.
Yes.
Because, we, even those of us who subscribe to this and strive to practice it every day, a lot of times we feel like there's something wrong with us because, it's not supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, I want people to understand that this is your instinct and your impulse is right on. So just, step up and be bold and act on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can find the book just about anywhere. Amazon, etc., Barnes and Noble, the usual places.
Are you doing a book signing anytime soon?
I always sign books at my speaking events, which are usually private in-company events. We do have, our event coming up at the end of February here in San Diego, the Extreme Leadership Experience, of which you are an alum. And And also, I would like to encourage people to come to loveisgoodbiz, biz.com, where I have a self-assessment that you can take to kind of see where you stand on all this. Yeah, it's a pretty cool little thing. It's a good reflection tool, self-awareness kind of a thing.
Oh, I'm going to go take that.
And it'll generate a report for you and give you some ideas to try.
Yeah, I'll try to be perfect at that. I'll try to guess your answer behind the question. But I have to I don't think I've shared this story just so people think that I've always been nice, which is not true. Surprise, surprise. But I can remember going through as a young, you went into the stock field as you shared, and I was doing my dissertation and internship with, I won't say which, actually I will say it, with Coopers and Lybrand because it's a good story. And we were doing a VAX 8810 IT project at Scott Paper Company when it was a company. And my dissertation was the nature and effects of user involvement with systems acceptance. I just said that to impress you. And then, but what happened was I was a ball buster. I really thought that the way to be successful was to be really, crack the whip, hold people accountable, work ridiculous 80-hour weeks, show last one out of the office, don't drive people any harder than you drive for yourself, very, very, very disciplined, very, very, hard hitting, very, very, no fear. And I was brought into my partner's office, the partner at the firm, Dan Heitzer. And I wonder if he's listening. He sat me down and he said, "Do you know your nickname here?" And I said, yeah, I think they call me the Ice Queen. And he said, and does that bother you? I said, no, because, I'm not in this job to be liked. I'm in this job to, do the best I can for you, for the company, for the firm, and to prove that, I'm better than you think I'm going to be. And, I'm giving people what they need. I'm giving them advice. I'm giving them direction to make them better. And he stopped. I stopped, and he looked at me and he said, "Did they ask you to make them better?" And I went, and that moment was a defining moment for me as far as, wow, I really don't, I know nothing about people. I know nothing about what makes an effective organization. I know nothing about leading people. I know nothing. And it was such a dramatic but beautiful point in my career. And so my career is also trying to more joy, less stress at work, and working with leaders to do similar to what you're doing, not as well as you do. But
the experience that you had, what made it a great experience was your conscious awareness that there's a lesson to be learned here, right? And I think that's really important for all of us, is to really look at the things that we do well and the things that we screw up and ask, what can I learn from this, and see where it takes us. It reminded me of a colleague of mine that I worked with for many, many years, who started out in television production. And he got feedback when he was leading a team. And it went something like this. They said, hey, his name is Dick Heller. He said, "Hey, Dick, did you know that that your team thinks that you hate them?" And he said, "Well, why would they think I hate them? I never talk to them." That was his aha moment.
Oh man,
Maybe
that's
there
great.
should be some personal connection here.
Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. But I mean, honestly, we grow up with that BS. I mean, right? I don't know if it's the movies that teach us that, or I don't know where it is, but that truly is the that BS that we're fed, or at least we swallow or think about. So for sure, I'm so glad that you are doing this work. Let's go to another direction. What next? Another book? I mean, it's funny because I never understood that question until you publish a book. And then everybody's asking on tour last year, I'm like, everybody's asking, so what are you going to do next? I was like, can I just enjoy this one now? Right? But I'm going to ask you the question, like, is this, what next, Brown Cow?
Well, that doesn't rhyme.
I know. I
that's
did.
Okay. Yeah, I've got ideas for the next couple of books, but what's next for me and for us and for our team is, our company, the Extreme Leadership Institute, is to really grow that. We have several really great clients where we do long-term culture change process, multi-year kind of engagements. And we're seeing amazing results, and it's just time to really scale that up and reach a lot more people.
Mm-hmm.
So my focus, Veronica's focus, our other business partners' focus is on really reaching more companies through this work, and essentially what we do is help companies to operationalize love as the way they do business, and we're getting getting amazing results.
Yeah,
and we want to do more of it. So that's what's next.
Cool. Now, I should ask your wife this and not you, but what % of the time do you not practice what you teach?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah. And then, okay. Veronica, can you hear that question?
She can hear the question.
She can hear the question?
She's a little camera shy. She heard you.
Okay, so before you write down the percentage on a piece of paper before he says the number.
Oh, I'm not really good with quantitative stuff. I'll answer it qualitatively.
Okay.
So I don't know what the number is. I'd say I could do a lot better. But I think I could say this with a good amount of accuracy. I'm pretty damn good at modeling what I teach. And that for a very simple reason. This isn't a product that I'm selling. This is a way of living, and it's one that I deeply believe in. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's not about perfection. Certainly, I I definitely wouldn't throw my hat in the ring for that contest.
Although I do have to chime in here. You are, and I meet a lot of people. You all know I meet a lot of people, and I meet a lot of good people. But I have to say, you truly are, Steve Farber, one of the most humble in the funny way, and caring and loving and professional and smart. And I'm not saying this for any kind of reward, in case you're wondering. I don't need anything from him. But it truly, I want to just commend you for the work that you do and the person that you are. You just really are that solid. You're lovable. How's that? I just wanted to say that.
I'll just say thank you.
Yeah.
For that. You made my day.
Good.
Good.
I wasn't planning on doing that.
Yeah, but so it's a bonus.
Yes.
And I will tell you that it's something that I aspire to. Mm-hmm. I aspire to it in every waking moment of my life, and when I fall short, I try to take notice and learn from it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason why I asked that question is I don't believe that you can truly love and have that baseline of love for others if you don't have some, not egotistical love for yourself, but a baseline of, fundamentally, I'm okay. I'm not perfect. I'm not a piece of shiitake. I'm not hot shiitake, but I'm just pretty good shiitake. And so I feel that from you. I think that's why we connected so easily, even before. You're a great example to me of, I'm human, and it's like, when you know who someone is, and let me see if I can get to know them or whatever. I didn't know you. I didn't know what you did. I wasn't conspiring to have you write an article in Inc. about me. That was a total, like, out of the blue, like, oh, really? I couldn't have planned that any better, and I certainly couldn't have asked for it. So I just commend you for your work. I'm going to give you, did I give you the Dr. Marissa Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award last time? I don't think I did.
I'm
giving
so.
it
Look
to
on my
you.
walls to see if I don't see any plaques.
And I'm going to give it to you this time. So, Tony, hit the applause button, please, for the audience to signal them to give him all of that applause. Because I love what you're doing. I love that the love that you're doing is in business. And I think that since we spend more time at work than we do anywhere else, that's where it belongs. Thanks so much for coming on again. And we'll see you in San Diego. Thanks so much, Steve. Oh,
thank you, my dear.
Last question. Who or what are you most grateful for?
That's really easy, and not just because she's sitting, virtually right next to me. But my wife is also, by some startling coincidence, is also my business partner. And so Veronica and I spend virtually, unless I'm traveling, virtually every waking minute together. And this business and my work just wouldn't happen without her. And she's my favorite person in the world to hang out with. So I'm grateful. Listen, I have amazing friends, yourself included. I have an amazing network of people. I'm grateful for so many. But this is something very unique, this relationship that we have.
It
I'm
really
grateful
is.
for it every day.
Oh, and if you've ever watched them in action,
Did you
can
hear
see
that,
that.
honey? I do.
She's cooking your favorite meal tonight. or you're taking her out for it. All right. Thanks so much, Steve. We'll see you soon. Peace
Thank
in,
you.
peace out. Love you.
Love you too.
All right. And we are at the end of the show where I invite you to step up to my balance bar, also known as my Peace In, Peace Out report from the Peace Out Beat. I got to figure out what to name that thing. But I have a couple things. One is I did cover the fabulous Catalina Jazz Festival, thanks to another amazing year, Art Good. And we're going to flash through these. Keiko, my twin sister, was amazing, and her On the Road family. One of my favorite musicians, groups from England, Acoustic Alchemy. I got to do a soundbite. It's now on my YouTube. You can hear that interview. Adorable couple, LeBron Dennis and his fiance, who just is my new, I had not heard them before and was just delighted by their story and his music. The conductor of Count Basie Orchestra, that was so awesome. Grace Kelly, she's amazing. She's agreed to be a guest, as well as Damien Escobar, who I'm going to play. Do we have time to play a little clip? He is amazing. If you've never heard Damien Escobar, you have to go see him. And here we go. For being my camera woman that weekend. Also, you can see a picture of Engelbert Humperdinck flashing peace from stage. And there's a picture of me flashing peace with his son in the lobby. He was tired and going, he's 83. But my new sponsor, the Saban Theater, keep it tuned for ticket giveaways from them. Also, it's going to be my last Unity show this Thursday, because something's got to give. I am so delighted to announce to you on the air today that I am starting the Limitless Tour, which is an amazing collaboration between myself and one of my past guests. We were both speakers on the Think and Grow Rich tour and have now resigned from that tour, but are on tour together. We're launching in China. I leave next week to go to China to speak in Chengdu and Beijing. And then I fly back here because I get to go on stage singing with Akon and Snoop Dogg with the Agape International Choir. And we kicked it yesterday on stage with Jesse Campbell from The Voice. You may remember him. You can go to agapelive.com and listen to that. And then I go fly back to the Philippines to speak for the U.S. Department of Defense and with a women's conference where I speak with law enforcement in the Philippines. So then I fly back here to MC the YMCA children's charities and then cover the Flicks for Change red carpet movies with a meaning. So, and this is all before Thanksgiving. So obviously I can't do the Thursday show anymore, but thank you so much for putting me on Spotify. Thousands of people have downloaded that show from there. I'm so grateful for everything that I get to do. Thank you for all the support that you continue to give me. And we don't have time for it. You'll have to go on my social media, Doc Balance on Instagram or Facebook. I was on The Price is, Let's Make a Deal. I keep meaning to show that we run out of time. But Monday is the new Friday, Facebook's live series at 10 a.m. You can join me for that. Subscribe to my YouTube for the free shows. And if you have any product or service that you would like to become a show sponsor to keep me on the air, please do. Go to drmarissa.life. Get your free happiness assessment. And remember to tune in. We've got Jerry Jewell coming back on, another repeat guest, the first person with, I guess in those days we called it a handicap, a physical limitation. She's coming back in December. Just keep it tuned to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get happy with Dr. Marissa. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace.